This video is in response to a question from a user who asked something which we thought might be of wider relevance. So they were looking at this sample demo. It's a Finsemble demo, but it just really is an example of AdapTable at work with many of the features. And they noticed that AdapTable provides lots of filters. As you can see, here's string filters. We have lots of numeric filters and date filters. And they also noticed that in this column here for this user, we've added what's called a custom filter, a custom predicate, which means that when I click on the filter, I obviously only see that. So that's not a filter that AdapTable provides. It's not shipped by us, but it's one which the user creates as part of his application. And the question was, is it possible to do this, but to have one which takes an input? And the answer is yes, and we'll show you how. First, a little bit of background. So filters in AdapTable are what we call predicates, and AdapTable ships lots of predicates. In our documentation you can see a full list, and you can see that as well as being many of them, they're also available in filtering, in alerts, flashing cells, format, column and badges. And as well as that, AdapTable provides custom predicates. These are essentially what we saw here in this user column, custom filters, which the developer provides at design time. And as we say, you are able to add inputs, and in fact we have a demo, so let's go full screen and let's show code. And you can see here an example of a custom predicate. And if we look at it, you can see the definition. We can see it's got an ID, it's got a label. That's kind of how it appears in the UI. We have column scope. This says which columns or data types it's available in. And here we said it's available in any string column, but you are able to restrict it just to a particular given set of columns. And then we also have module scope. This says which of the modules it can be used in. As you can remember here, they can be used in 5. But in our definition, we've said we only want it available in format, column or filter. Then the next property is the most important. That's the handler. This is the property that the developer creates, and which AdapTable, through AdaptableQL, our querying language, we will invoke each time we need to evaluate that predicate. And then lastly, and most importantly for this demo, we have inputs, and they're an array because you can have more than one input. And so we're saying that this long string will take a number. So how does it work? Well, as I say, it works in format, column or filter, and because it's an input, you can kind of use it differently each time. So for instance, we can go to this description column and we can say we want to run long string, and you'll see that this will now take a number. So when I say 23, you can see we see the 4 which have 23. If I change this, say, to 50, we can see now there's 16 rows which have a description greater than 50 characters. So we've used it here in filters, as you can see, and we also see it's available in format column. So let's see how that looks. So for instance, we can create a new format column, and let's create it against the whole row, and we will say we want the condition to be, actually no, let's use a predicate. So let's say we will do it on the language column, and we will say that the predicate will be where the language column has a long string of 6. So only where the language is greater than 6 will they appear. Let's do a style. So for instance, let's make it brown and white, and we can make it bold. We don't need to do anything else. And there we are. We can see that only those where it's more than 6. If I actually now clear this filter here, you can see that both of the HTML don't appear because they're not more than 6. So there we are. We've got this format column that's using our long string with an input of 6, which is why these two are not formatted. And as we did before, we can create a filter, let's say with 60, where we see the 30 that are there. So these are custom predicates which take an input and can be used in many places in AdapTable. I hope that answers our user's question and was of wider interest. If you would like to try out AdapTable for yourself, we'll be happy to give you a personal demo or indeed a free, no obligation trial license. Thank you for watching.